Critical race theory. What is critical race theory? Well, critical race theory is an outgrowth of critical theory. It's a way of viewing the world. Basically, many of you know what economic Marxism is. Okay, in the 1960s, Herbert Marcuse from the Frankfurt School in Germany came to America, and he looked around and he said, boy, our Marxist movement is not doing too well. It's not doing great because the American middle class is actually successfully integrating into a private property-based market system, and Marxism is kind of fizzling out. So then he conjectured, what if we come up with a new type of Marxism, not economic Marxism, but race Marxism? He said the real struggle is not rich versus poor, it's not the bourgeoisie versus the proletariat, it's white versus people of color. Now it is about systemic oppression, white privilege, and doing whatever is necessary to try to fix those problems, including Ibram X. Kendi, who says that we need discrimination today to fix the discrimination of yesterday, and I'll prove exactly what he means by that. So with critical race theory, it's not just bad ideology, it's not just, here's the best way I can describe CRT to you, with all that philosophical stuff aside. It's calling everything you don't like racist until you control it. That's what CRT is. Just keep calling it racist until you control it. The banking system is racist. The colleges are racist until all of a sudden you're in control of it, and it really is a major power grab. Okay, so if you asked a leftist about race in America, they would say the worst thing you could possibly be is a straight white male, right? They'd say that it's the problem with the entire society, the structure, the bones of society comes down to the issues of straight white men. A liberal would say, look, there's systemic racism, but maybe we make some moderate improvements around the edges, and we don't do anything too dramatic, but they would admit with the premise that America is systemically racist. A conservative would say, hold on a second. Discrimination is wrong. I couldn't care less about the color of your skin. It means nothing to me. I care about your character. I care about your actions. I care about your values. And I want to live in a country where people are not talking about race. In fact, I'm very, very worried we're heading into a country where we are retribalizing ourselves, and we should not put up with this kind of discrimination. White privilege is a racist myth that is rooted in bigotry, trying to classify people based on their skin color. If you are a racist, you have something to apologize for. If you're a white person who is not a racist, you have nothing to apologize for. And anyone who makes you apologize just based on the color of their skin, of your skin, they're the racist and you're not. It's that simple. And so, this idea of our systems are racist also does not stand up against any sort of cross-examination of different ethnic groups in our country. White people, on average, if you were to classify it, and again, I don't like the over-racialization of our country, but if that's where the left wants to lead this, the facts don't even support their entire charge against our country, is that Asian Americans and Indian Americans are far wealthier on average in our country than white Americans. This idea that every single white person in the country is living a life of luxury and convenience is totally untrue. And according to not just the Hoover Institution, but U.S. Census data and government labor data, this is the greatest statistic to dispel it, which is that a black child raised by a mother and father is more likely to succeed by every independent metric than a white child who is raised by a single mother. Now, I'm not bashing single mothers. I think that they're modern-day heroes. The point is that there's two-parent privilege in our country, not white privilege in our country. And if we're serious about rebuilding the black family, which we should be putting fathers back in the home, but be very careful to try to connect disparities necessarily with discrimination. And so there's other parts of privilege as well in our country that are non-racial privilege. For example, anyone here the firstborn child? I am. You know that you have an exponentially higher likelihood of succeeding than the second child or the third child or the youngest child? You ever heard of firstborn privilege? Probably not. How about anyone here an only child? You have way higher likelihood of succeeding. Every independent study shows this. Now, we can laugh and chuckle, of course. The point is that there are different inputs at times for why certain disparities are created. And blaming all of it on deep-seated, harbored racial resentment is not just incorrect, it's really corrosive for all of us. Instead of just looking at skin color, look at other circumstantial factors such as education, such as two-parent households. And the argument that the activists will make, and I'm sure someone here will make the argument, is that racism created those systems, right? That it was racist. And I can actually agree with part of that. Just be very specific of what systems those are. And if we're serious about improving the livelihood of our fellow countrymen, maybe we should be less focused on government welfare and more focused on work and literacy education and bringing fathers back into the home.